Emperor Caligula is one of the most controversial and iconic figures in the history of the Roman Empire. His reign became brief but infamous for his many eccentric acts and alleged brutality. Caligula's real name is Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, and he was born on August 12, 1280, in the settlement of Antium, modern Andria. He was the son of Germanicus, a popular general, and Agrippina the Elder, and from the very first years of his life, he was at the center of political intrigues and conspiracies. Caligula grew up in an aristocratic family expecting a great future from him. His childhood was spent in an atmosphere of political intrigue. His father was assassinated on the orders of Emperor Tiberius, which had a profound impact on him. He was raised in harsh conditions, which left its mark on his psyche. Sometime after Germanicus' death, Tiberius took Caligula under his wing, placing him in his courtyard. At that time, life at court was far from comfortable. Caligula watched Tiberius shoot enemies and kill suspects, which left a trace of fear and hatred in his mind. He had to be careful not to become the next victim in a ruthless political game. It is important to note that Caligula was almost a symbol of the Roman aristocracy. He had a caring mother and loved ones who tried to protect him from the dangers of the court, but at the same time, the influence of Tiberius was difficult to overestimate. He learned by observing how desired desires were fulfilled and how relationships based on betrayal and alliance were formed. In addition, even when he was young, Caligula already showed an interest in culture and art, which later became an important part of his reign. After Tiberius' death in 37 AD, Caligula was recognized as the new emperor of Rome. His election met with a cordial response from the citizens. Many hoped that he would become a more just ruler than his predecessor. Initially, his reign really promised to be prosperous. He began to implement reforms aimed at improving the lives of ordinary Romans, returning many confiscated resources to the people, increasing funding for entertainment games, and access to necessary goods. The visa to power was a sign of hopes and expectations. However, the welcoming beginning was soon overshadowed by Caligula's growing madness. It was only after a few months of his reign that he suddenly fell ill, and this illness became a turning point in his life and reign. After his recovery, he began to exhibit violent and eccentric personality traits, which aroused suspicion and fear among others. Making peculiar claims about divinity and recognizing oneself as a living god became a daily practice, which only increased tension in the empire. Caligula became known for his strange and often insane actions. From time to time, he declared himself a deity and demanded worship. It is significant that during his reign he ordered the construction of a magnificent temple in his honor. In this temple, the statue of Caligula was installed on a par with the gods, which caused discontent and even anger of superstitious Romans, such as senators and ordinary citizens, who felt the pressure of the ruler's whims. The emperor is also known for his unyielding and cruel treatment of political enemies, which led to numerous executions. He did not hesitate to send senators to their deaths without good reason, threatening those who disagreed with his opinion. The emperor's eccentricity reached the point of absurdity. For example, being an all-powerful ruler, in one of his evil infusions he demanded that high-ranking senators come to him in an outfit that could be openly ridiculed. Caligula is also known for his love of pleasure and extravagant lifestyle. He organized grandiose feasts, which served delicious dishes, sometimes even exotic ones such as fried parrots and other strange delicacies. And the entertainment was sometimes so obscene that such banquet parties became the subject of discussion throughout Rome. Interestingly, the emperor often showed violent vomiting attacks at these feasts in order to continue eating, and checked which of his guests could sit next to him in an unchanged state. Besides being dissatisfied with the opinion of others about his desires, Caligula also had a reputation as a ruthless manipulator who used love and sex to achieve his goals. Rumors of his indecent behavior with women and young men spread throughout Rome, which was the subject of heated debate. For example, some sources claim that he had an affair with his own brother and used his lovers as political tools. It is especially worth noting his relationship with the senators, whom he used to his advantage like pawns on a chessboard. In his pursuit of pleasure and relationships, Caligula did not shy away from anyone, including members of his family. His first wife, Livia, was killed when the first wave of his brutality began, and rumors of her execution spread through Rome, generating discontent among citizens. After that, Caligula unexpectedly married his sister, Julia Livia, which caused shock and discontent among the Romans, who could not accept this behavior of the emperor. The image of his rule became the epitome of the madness of power when family ties were trampled for the sake of their own desires. Political intrigues and the emperor's increasingly unpredictable behavior created tension among senators, the military, and even ordinary citizens. Tension grew, and soon Roman nobles began to plot against Caligula. Feeling threatened, he used all means to maintain his power, intimidated, sent to execution, and even used his pets as spies. He forced people to keep an eye on each other, which created an atmosphere of suspicion and fear. In 41 AD, as a result of a conspiracy that included some of his closest associates, the emperor was assassinated in an assassination attempt in the palace. There were people among the conspirators who had once served him and enjoyed his mercy, but realized that they could no longer tolerate this madness. During the conspiracy, Caligula was stabbed dozens of times before being killed. His death was a landmark moment that ended his brutal rule, and subsequent events confirmed that his time was over, as was his reign. The new emperor was Claudius, who managed to stabilize the situation in the country after the chaos left by Caligula. The people of Rome, who were filled with hatred and fear, were proud that the fear and uncertainty that prevailed earlier had finally ended. Claudius used his popularity to bring stability back to the country and create a more peaceful society. Caligula's legacy remains ambiguous and contradictory. On the one hand, his rule has become a symbol of the licentiousness and madness of power. His colleagues and Roman historians, such as Suetonius and Tacitus, left no stone unturned from his image, describing him beyond the norm and kind-hearted, justly or not. However, on the other hand, modern researchers and philosophers of the 21st century have begun to rethink his rule from a milder point of view, focusing on the context of his life and the political situation. Caligula became a symbol of absolute power that transcended social norms. His life and reign serve as a reminder of how much power can corrupt a person and subject him to external control. The complexity of his character allows us to draw many conclusions about human nature, as well as about the mechanisms of power and their consequences for society. The legends of Caligula, his eccentricity, and evil deeds continue to live in history as a metaphor for the madness of power. Every story about his reign teaches us how important it is to maintain a balance between power and humanity. He remains a memorable figure who will be the subject of study and discussion for many years to come. Caligula's reign became a paradigm for studying the very phenomenon of authoritarianism and its deep roots in human nature. The meaning of his rule also makes us appreciate the fragility of democratic institutions and the role of civic participation in governance. Please like and subscribe if you liked the video. Thanks for watching.